welcome to Teaching Truth. My name is Glenn Cartwright, and we continue with our studies in the life of Daniel. Daniel chapter 6 is the passage before us today. And today we're looking at Daniel's commitment. Daniel's commitment. The fourth characteristic in the life of this exciting biblical character. It was because Daniel was a man of integrity and commitment, a man who prayed 3 times a day. Because he was whiter than white in his conducting of government business, there was a plot to bring him down. And those who were seeking to trip Daniel up and to bring Daniel down, those opposed to Daniel recognized the only way that they could get to Daniel was to trip him up as a result of his obedience to God. And so they went to King Darius with a cunningly devised plan, which essentially asked Darius to occupy the place of God. And the plan was that if anybody prayed to anyone else but Darius, they would be thrown into the den of lions. This would be the ultimate test, the litmus test, if you like, for this man of God, Daniel. Now let's just pause there and reflect for a moment. Let's be aware that so often others, either intentionally or not, can conspire to trip us up spiritually. And because of that, we need to be spiritually alert, discerning, and wise, and to recognize the attacks. Be careful and wise in the company you keep. Be careful and wise in terms of those with whom you associate. Because so often when things are going well for us, it's at those times that the evil one can come in and trip us up. So let's stay close to God as Daniel did, through not only praying to him, but through reading and studying his word. And that's exactly what Daniel did. Immediately, this decree was signed. He went to his upstairs room. He flung open the windows towards Jerusalem. He got down on his knees, and what did he do? He started praying. You see, Daniel in doing this had learned to walk with God, no matter the circumstances. And note that the words of the text, just as he had done before. You see, you really do sense a consistency about this man's life, just as he had done before. You see, Daniel in praying to God with the windows open, facing Jerusalem, was not in any way about courting persecution. No. But he was simply doing what had been built into his life over many years, from when he was a young man, from when godliness had been built into his life. Even when it was made a capital crime by the king, by the decree of Darius, Daniel still prayed. Evidence of his commitment at a time when, understandably, it would have been very easy to give up praying for 30 days. You see, nailing his colours to the mast was what Daniel was all about. He was prepared to stand up and be counted. See, right at the heart and centre of this older man's life was the unhurried communion. I love that phrase. The unhurried communion with God in prayer. Do we have that unhurried communion with God in prayer? Not that 1 or 2 minutes at the end of the day when we're tired, but that time that we carve out, that unhurried communion with God in prayer. It was a sign physically as well as spiritually of his humility and submission, praying on his knees. D.L. Moody once said this, quote, "The Christian on his knees sees more than the philosopher on tiptoe." And Daniel's prayer generated a reaction, and a significant one at that, because all the officials, having seen Daniel pray, really thought their moment had come. They thought they had got him. Here was Daniel openly defying the decree that had been set. And yet, as the report gets back to King Darius, Darius literally finds himself caught between a rock and a hard place. We read he was distressed. After all, Daniel is one of the cabinet, one of the inner circle, if you like. But having issued a decree, he has now to see it through. He's in a very, very difficult position. And therefore, he reluctantly agrees to the request for Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. Such was the eloquent witness of Daniel's life that Darius recognizes in that moment that the only one true and living God can save Daniel. Daniel's commitment had come to the fore. Daniel was a man who was not only committed to the Word of God, but committed to praying regularly and consistently to God. And today, as I challenge myself, as I challenge you, do we have that consistency and commitment in our lives to the reading and to the study of the Word of God, and above all to praying to God, even on our knees, as a sign of humility and reverence, as Daniel did? Join me tomorrow as we look at the final episode in our study of Daniel, as we look at Daniel's commendation. May God bless you.